Today on Storm Kory HQ, we're taking a look at a recent comic book featuring Starfire as we review Tales of the Titans starring Starfire. This book actually just came out this year, written by Shannon and Dean Hale and with art from Javier Rodriguez. This miniseries is actually a modernized version of a similar series that happened way back when the Teen Titans first debuted in 1980, and Starfire was the last of these issues. This is the issue where we learn about her backstory, her childhood on Tamaran, her feud with her sister Blackfire, and the horrendous conditions that led to her eventually coming to Earth. Before we dive into the issue proper, I just want to note how dope this cover is. It's an homage cover, and for those who don't know, which is probably all of y'all, I love me a good homage cover. We have modern Kory doing the same pose that she did back in the day, but with a new look. I never knew I needed Starfire in a long, luxurious ponytail, but damn, you got them chemtrails. Y'all know I'm here for them chemtrails. But with the cover out of the way, let's get into the issue proper. The issue starts with a very stacked and thick Starfire hovering around the corner and berating Beast Boy for eating one of her snacks. Everyone's just chilling out, enjoying breakfast, and Starfire's just going off. Gar calms Kory down by turning into a goat and making a silly face and noise, which makes her go all gushy. Cyborg comes in and teases Kory about being too emotional, and we are introduced to what will be the main conflict of this book. Starfire is going through some inner turmoil. She's also tired of being referred to as a princess for understandable reasons. As she breaks it down,
alien, someone who can never fully belong, and princess of a kingdom that no longer exists.
This book is definitely more geared towards people who are familiar with the Titans, in particular Starfire. There's going to be a lot of parts about her past that you're just not going to get if this is your first venture into Titans territory. But yeah, getting back on topic. Kory's tired of being called emotional in a derogatory way, but emotions are big for her. It's an issue that's always been present in her life. She's an alien who comes from a culture who prides themselves on being outward with their emotions, and also she's been through a lot. She's had a very emotionally charged life, and not for very good reasons, which we definitely will get into over the course of this comic book. But before any of that can happen, our good friend Oracle chimes in and alerts the Titans that something crazy is going on with some bees, so they go to look into it. Kory also gets a ping from Oracle, and she's alerted about a distress signal that was specifically sent out to Princess Koriandr. While she's en route, she takes a nice invigorating fly over the water, enjoying the sun and the wind on her skin, and thinks about how strange her relationship has been with Barbara, aka Oracle, seeing as how they've both been Dick Grayson's main squeeze. But soon enough, she arrives to the distress signal and finds these two other Tamaranian women who are there, and they immediately start calling her princess, which she no likey at all. So she tells them to please call her Kory. The two sisters, who are co-administrators of a Tamaranian moon colony called New Palomar, are having some trouble with their ship, and it can't fly. So Kory starts to charge their ship while they catch her up on some of their problems that they've been having on said colony. The two sisters bicker and keep mistakenly calling her a princess, which starts to piss Kory off. She tries to hold it in and remain helpful, but it's Kory, she's gonna start flipping out about stuff. She radios into Donna that she's gonna go help these guys and make sure that the Titans are good on their own without her before she leaves. But before they take off, she can't help but notice the tension between the sisters, and of course it reminds her of her own tension with her sister, koriandr, aka Blackfire. She straight up says,
"Part of me wants to warn koriandr to get away from her knot before she betrays her."
This panel is actually a direct reference to the original Spotlight on Starfire comic book from the Tales of the New Teen Titans. We saw a lot of the torment that koriandr put koriandr through. Koriandr actually was born without the ability to fly due to a disease. This made her a social pariah on Tamaran and disqualified her from inheriting the throne. This was the source of koriandr's resentment, which she would have for koriandr for their entire lives. We're going to be talking a lot about these two in the days to come, so make sure you subscribe if you have not done so already. Moving right along, we land on New Palomar, where everyone starts greeting our princess. She can't help but notice how much this colony actually reminds her of Tamaran, which makes her very emotional because there ain't no more Tamaran. So she goes off to have herself a nice little solitary cry, and then lands and starts asking around to get to the bottom of all these issues. Turns out that there are these tentacles that keep reaching up and grabbing these space goats. Good foreshadowing there, Beast Boy. 10 out of 10. And while this is being explained to her, the actual tentacle jumps up and grabs one of said space goats, which is named Poggert. Or, as I first read it when I read it too fast, Poggers. You know what? I'm just gonna call the goat Poggers from now on. So, Kory goes all zip zap and boom bap on the tentacle because you don't mess with her space goats. You leave Poggers alone. So she saves Poggers, and this is adorable. I gotta say, I'm not the biggest fan of this art style, but I do love how they lean into Kory's more silly and whimsical moments where she's just enjoying a moment. She's like, no, not the goat, never the goat. And then she's all happy because she saved the goat. She lands with Poggers all safe, but then she gets riled up again when one of the sisters suggests using the goat as bait. See, told y'all, alien warrior hippie princess, there she is, loving animals, being like, don't you harm these animals, you leave Poggers alone. As the sisters break down the plan and explain that they're actually going to be protecting the goat while it's being used as bait, she thinks to herself that maybe Victor was right in calling her super emotional, because everyone seems to see her as super emotional. But the sisters reassure her that there's nothing wrong with being emotional, and quote their late mother, who said, "Emotions aren't distractions to be tolerated. They are a reason for living." Very Tamaranian. I like that line. While Kory does appreciate the advice, she also can't help but notice that their mother died during the fall of Tamaran, something that she feels responsible for because the whole fall of Tamaran happened because Koriand'r hated her. She turned on her own people just to ruin her sister's life. But we'll talk about that another time. Right now, it's time to use Poggers as bait. So they use Poggers as bait. And of course, a bunch of tentacles come out. Kory gets to zip zapping and boom bapping. She's a quick draw with her starbolts as always, and everyone thinks she did a really good job. They assume the job is done, and they go off to town. The next couple pages are really interesting because they actually go into Koriandr's religious or spiritual beliefs. The Tamaranians worship a goddess named Zal, and while these sisters aren't too keen on worshiping her, Kory is a huge Zal stan. Not in terms of cult-like fanaticism, but you could definitely say she's a devotee. We also get a name drop of the Scions, which is the name of the alien race that captured Koriand'r and experimented on her, which actually gave her her starbolts. One of the sisters compares Kory to Zal, and Kory thinks that she doesn't deserve such a comparison.
Zal truly was reborn as a being of light and fury. I simply survived. With newfound power, true, but to compare myself to Zal feels disrespectful.
As a former Christian, I totally get where Kory's coming from. No one really wants to be compared to the God they worship and admire. Well, at least no one who's well-adjusted and not a maniac, anyway. Then one of the sisters yells out, "Praise Zal." The other one jokingly yells out, "Praise the Scions." But Starfire ain't here for them type of jokes.
No praise for the Scions. What they did to me and my sister was unconscionable. I don't care that their vile procedures gave me power. I am not a thing to be toyed with.
And then we get some really jacked up imagery of the Scions forcefully experimenting on Koriand'r. The sisters apologize for how thoughtless they're being, and Kory's like, "Yeah, y'all are being thoughtless, and stop calling me princess." But then the sisters make the goated choice of letting Kory know that she is not simply the princess of Tamaran, she's the princess of the Tamaranians. She's the princess of all the people on this moon colony, and they're thankful for her presence. Koriand'r tells the sisters that she protects those she loves, and that love is a thing that comes easily to her. But the colony, her Tamaranian extended family, will always be in that number. It's easy in these very emotionally charged moments for Kory to lose sight of all these things, and it usually doesn't take a whole lot to get her back on track. But I'm glad these sisters could remind her of the family she actually has, especially considering the fact that her only living blood family literally hates her guts, has always wanted nothing but her destruction, and that's when the evil space kraken wakes up again. So Kory goes into full hero mode, orders everyone to get to safety, and flies over to rein this thing in once and for all. Also, during this whole thing, she starts making ba ba noises and literally says, "I am the goat."
Praise the goat! The goat!
Everyone is cheering her on, calling her princess, and the sisters tell the people to not call her that. And then the village elder chimes in with some wisdom. "Come now, she's a princess in every single way. Great power? Check. Loves her people? Check. Protects those she loves, even to the point of risking herself? Check. If that isn't a princess, I don't know what is." And Kory thinks that the guy has a point. For this whole issue, the title of princess has only reminded Kory of the worst times of her life. Things that make her unbearably and unbelievably sad. But during this trip, she's been reminded of the joy that that title still holds. There's nothing wrong with being a princess. So instead of rejecting it, she's gonna start embracing it now. She bids her new friends farewell, including Poggers, and then makes her way back to Earth, checking in with the other Titans who are having their hands full dealing with this circus. But Kory is on the way, and as she re-enters Earth's atmosphere, she becomes ablaze, and this has to be my favorite panel in the whole book. It's just, there's only one word for this.
And it is glorious!
Thank you, Shao Kahn. Just knocks her ass out with the best deck of life. I'm surprised this queen bee wasn't reduced to a big old puddle of red honey. I mean, she literally hit her with a stellar one-hitter quitter. And before Starfire can be overcome with the fact that she really did kind of endanger people by flying in and using so much force, Barbara actually distracts her with a congratulations song. And it just happens to be a favorite of Kory's, one that she and Barbara both share, as referenced from one of the panels before showing them at the concert. As the Titans start making their way home, Cyborg turns around and sees some kids playing with some Titans toys. One kid has a Cyborg toy, one has a Wonder Girl, and the other is quote-unquote stuck with a Starfire. Of course, the boy don't want to be the princess. Then Cyborg kneels down and makes a goated choice of his own by telling the kids that Starfire would turn the guts of the dinosaurs they're playing with into molten lava. Now all of a sudden, everybody want to be Starfire. And Starfire is getting a kick out of it, although she corrects him and says that in reality she would just make the dinosaur her pet and name it Martha. Very, very Starfire. Back at Titan's Tower, everyone's wrapping up, and Starfire and Donna actually go for a little friendly fly. This is when Kory starts talking about how everything she's been through has made her so extra sensitive. She says that each emotion is like a bomb exploding inside of her, both the good and the bad. But Donna, being the empathetic mad lass that she is, gives Kory a piece of earthly perspective. The people of Earth call experiencing emotions being human. I'd say you're more human than any of them. Also, Kory's happy that she got to save an alien goat and is currently really hungry because she let out a lot of anger on her solo mission. So she comes in and gets some nice, much needed revenge on Beast Boy for eating her food from before, leading to a food fight which concludes the issue. Overall, a nice, wholesome issue, one that dives deep into Kory's psychology and helps us understand why she's so emotional, specifically due to what she's been through and what's constantly on her mind. I like that we got the full range of koriand'r emotions: happiness, sadness, anger, fear. My only criticism is the art style. It's just, aesthetically speaking, not my cup of tea. But, you know, it's not like it's gonna look like this forever, so it's more than passable. Let me know how you guys felt about this. This has been Anime at Storm Kory HQ, your one-stop shop for all things Storm and Starfire. And until next time, keep simping.